Hello and welcome to the Wacky Scottish Rite Temple. This looks to be pretty short here. I'll go ahead and start reading. The Kansas City Scottish Rite Temple is a monumental building in Kansas City, Missouri, which was built during 1928 to 1930. The architects were Keene and Simpson of Kansas City. The building has a 102 by 112 1,400 seat auditorium. It was built on the site of the group's previous building at Linwood and Paseo Boulevard. The group occupied the building from 1930 to 1940 and again from 1971 until present day. And let's take a little look at Mr. Keene and Simpson here, since they're not giving us a ton of information on the wacky about the temple itself. This was an architectural firm based in Kansas City that was in practice from 1909 to 1980. Looking for a few of their examples of their other masterpieces. This bank over here. Oh, look here. I've actually been in this courthouse. Not that courthouse. Actually, I've probably been in there too, but the one in Independence here, which is another place we definitely have to look at. But, you know, they screwed up my information on my car with all the property tax and everything. And, you know, basically I had to go down there and do everybody's job for them. So that's about how that always goes. But we'll be moving on here. What else have we got? Hall of Waters in Excelsior Springs. What's going on here with the Hall of Waters? Very little information again. It was built as a mineral water health resort. That sounds familiar. One thing about looking into some of this stuff is, you know, you kind of stumble upon other things that definitely need some investigating as far as boots on the ground. So, you know, there's positives with the negatives here. And we've got this Commerce Tower here, which, you know, completed in 1965. This firm been around since 1909. They were designing everything from, you know, Egyptian revival or Romanesque type stuff to brutalist, apparently. So there wasn't much information on the Wacky page. I found this very little article here with a video from Kansas City's Star here. And I'm going to play this for you guys. And I'm going to mute their audio, but I'll tell you basically what they are talking about. So basically, this first image they're going to show you here was the original Scottish Rite Temple that was in a different location on Troost. Look at this beauty. So this was built in 1904, and then 25 years later they moved on to the grander location that we looked at, which was on Linwood, basically Linwood and Paseo. And then this thing burned down in 2016. Anyways, I just wanted to show you that. They mentioned in the Wikipedia that the temple on Linwood replaced something that was originally in that spot. I'll have to look a little deeper here and see if I can't come up with something that was there previous to the Sphinx guarded temple that we saw. So, since I was unable to find very much information on the Scottish Rite temple that we looked at, and I'm surfing the interwebs here, I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys a few other cool things that pop up. Which here is another Scottish Rite temple in Kansas City, Kansas. It was constructed in 1909. The Gothic-style brick building was constructed by the well-known architect William Warren Rose. Never heard of him. The temple features beautiful stained glass and leaded glass doors and windows, as well as unique parapet around the roof. In 1985, the building was added to the National Register of Historic Places. Since 2008, the building has functioned as a casino owned by the Wyandot Nation of Oklahoma. Let's take a look at this bad boy. Looking more cathedral-ish to me. Little castle flare. Look at the font on this Scottish Rite temple here. That just looks terrible. Looks to be mud flooded. You know, you gotta step way up to get in the doors here. Let's see. There's a little side view. Very interesting brickwork going on the top of this thing. And a postcard. And let's see what they did to it. There you are. Place to gamble all of your fake currency away. Came across this. The Pendergast years, Kansas City in the Jazz Age and Great Depression. Looks like this is also from the Kansas City Public Library digital HisssStory. But we've got a postcard of the one we looked at, and then the other one that we discussed that was at 15th and Troost, which I guess 15th Street is now known as Truman Road, and an autochrome photograph of the Scottish Rite temple seen from the south. Looks like we got some kind of timeline here on the Pendergasts. Love how they keep referring to these political organizations as machines. That's interesting. But I'm not going to go off on a Pendergast exploration quite yet. We're definitely going to be looking into them. I'm going to finish this off with a few little images on the inside of the Scottish Rite temple that I can find. I had to jump from the goggles over here to duck because, you know, you can't look at a full freaking image on Google anymore because they suck. But anyways, check this out. You can rent a temple. That's right. You too can host your circus in a authentic Egyptian Revival Temple. If this will give me a better view. Looking just as marvelous on the inside as the outside, other than this stupid cage fighting setup here. And let's see what else we can find in here. Whenever you click on a photo, it never, ever brings the actual photo up. Another bogus construction photo of a Scottish Rite temple somewhere, I'm not sure. Just always looking ridiculous. Oh, apparently that's the only view you're going to get of the inside of this. Now, there's a few good photos here, but I can't blow them up so that you can see them better. So once again, I was pretty much ready to end this Enterwebss HisssStory search. And I stumbled across this article from Midtown KC Post, and this was in the image section once again, finding more quote-unquote information in the image section as opposed to, you know, the normal frickin' web search, but here we are. The newly renovated Scottish Rite Temple anchors historic Linwood and Paseo block. Opened in 1930, has recently been renovated and is available as rental space for parties, weddings, and conventions, which we just discussed. By the way, this article is from March 2020. The Kansas City Scottish Rite of Freemasonry Temple is a massive structure that has fascinated those driving along Linwood and the Paseo for years. Why would anybody be so fascinated by this ridiculously large Egyptian revival structure here that we built in the 1920s? Or I'm sorry, the Freemasons built, right? Freemasonry. There's a little view from the so-called satellite. If you remember, I got a little quick shot of this structure directly next to it, which they're referring to as the Healing House Church of something. I'm not sure what the rest of that says, but it was a very bizarre structure, looking kind of like a castle house in the front and a cathedral in the back. Business in the front, party in the back. As part of our Uncovering History project, the Midtown KC Post is taking a look at each block in Midtown, including a set of 1940 tax assessment photos, which is available for many blocks. Many people seem to be confused by the tax assessment photos, which all include a man holding a sign. Here's the story behind them. Why not? And this is the story, I guess. Wow. Alright. I'm not going to read that, but the classical Greek building is inspired by an ancient structure at Halicarnassus in Caria, now part of the Republic of Turkey, and I apologize if I didn't get any of that correct, but I don't care. It boasts 32 columns, 10 on each side and 12 across the front. Two massive sphinxes look out from the front of the building, the work of Kansas City sculptor Jorgen C. Dreyer, who also created the lions at the Kansas City Life building on Broadway. That's right, I meant to look into this Dreyer. This actually reminds me to do so, which is good. So this is gonna end up being a little longer. There's another shot from the interior. Stained glass windows in the dining room date back to an earlier Scottish Rite building downtown at 1024 East 15th Street, which is the one that was on Truman Road. 15th is Truman. So I'm assuming that this stained glass here came from the structure that burnt down in 2016. Some rooms continue to be used for Scottish Rite ceremonies. Well, they seem to spend a lot of time on their knees for some reason. About 3,500 people attended the cornerstone laying ceremony of the new temple in 1929. The famous Washington Trowel, property of the Alexandria Washington Lodge No. 22, was used by George Washington in the laying of the cornerstone of the National Capitol in Washington. It was a special feature of the program, according to a May 10, 1929 Kansas City Star article, which noted that a special committee of Virginians transported the trowel. It was used to seal a small copper box inside the cornerstone. The Scottish Rite lost the building briefly in the 1950s, but got it back in 1969. So they lost it. How do you lose such a massive structure? I am not sure. But I'm going to look into this Mr. Dreyer here, and we're going to wrap this thing up. And here we are back on the Wackypedias. We're going to check out this Jorgen Christian Dreyer here. Jorgen Christian Dreyer, 1877 to 1948, was a Norwegian-born American sculptor. He immigrated to the United States in 1903 and worked as a professor of sculpture at the Kansas City Art Institute from 1907 to 1909. In his career, Dreyer created a number of monumental sculptures, some of which are located in Kansas City, Missouri. His major works include Life Drift, The Goddess of Dawn, Sphinxes, a pair, Biology and Chemistry, a pair of figures, Lionesses, pair, The Message, a bust of Archibald Butt, bust of Sir Karl Busch, Mercury, God of Commerce, and bust of Major General Sterling Price. And let's check out some of his works here. And I've seen these on Broadway before. And I've never seen female lions. But look at this structure. Holy cow. I forgot all about that. Also a massive columned structure. That's pretty cool. Sculpting in clay at the night sculptor class at the Kansas City Fine Art Institute. We don't have any real photos of Mr. Dreyer in the act of sculpting, I guess. Alright, let's see. I didn't see this in there. Life Drift. You know, some of these could have been done by Mr. Dreyer, I suppose. But this is not looking like a sculpture to me. Look at how perfectly symmetrical everything is. Just like everything in the old world. Perhaps his largest works are the pair of sphinxes at the Scottish Rite Temple in Kansas City. Each sphinx weighs 20,000 pounds. And Dreyer put the face of a woman on each. On the back of each sphinx, he placed Masonic symbols. These were completed in 1928. In 1925, Dreyer was commissioned by the widow of U.S. Representative William P. Borland to place his bas relief sculpture on the gravestone of Representative Borland in Elmwood Cemetery, Block C, Lot 137 in Kansas City. The finished marker was unveiled on November 11, 1925. The relief is gone, but Dreyer's engraving of Borland's signature remains. In 1931, Dreyer sculpted some marble figures for the Rose Hill Cemetery mausoleum. In 1932, he installed a sculpture of the Goddess of Dawn for the new Hotel Phillips. The sculpture is 11 feet tall and is located on the second floor landing of the main staircase in the lobby. Hotel Phillips, that's in Kansas City. In 1933, Dreyer was again commissioned by Kansas City Life Insurance to complete a sculpture of Mercury. That's just a few examples. We're going to go over there. I wanted to come down to this gallery again and ask you guys what you think about these. I mean, I'm not overwhelmingly impressed with any of these. The Sphinxes, they look to be done the best. And they don't look like sculptures to me either. I mean, look at this thing. Baker with a pie. Some fountain. Here's the one with the missing relief here in Elmwood Cemetery. And look at these. I mean, these just are not impressive at all. I was hoping there was another photo, but I don't know. I don't think that these belong here. I mean, look at the detail on this compared to those lionesses. There's no comparison. Anyways. Oh! We actually looked at this. I saw the deal about Rose Hill and I couldn't remember. I did a quick search and there's a million Rose Hill cemeteries, but we actually looked at this. So he is credited for doing these. Again, these there's no comparison here with these and the Sphinxes look to be done by the same hand to me. As far as the other crap goes, yeah, those are probably Mr. Dreyer's. But that's just my opinion. And this as well, this is looking old world and beautiful. It's not a very good photo. And this is the Mercury one, I guess. Glad they included this because I wanted to take a look at it. Once again, this is amazing. These are some medallions in the Jackson County Courthouse. Looking old world and perfect. And there's Mr. Jorgen C. Dreyer. And I'm going to end this right here, guys. I'm much more excited about doing part 2 of my little freestyle photo surf, so I'm going to start working on that here shortly. But I want to get this out to you. Once again, I appreciate everybody's time and thank you for watching.